Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. It's time for the metal CD update. We did the vinyl, let's get on to the silver discs. We're going to do a fast and loose update this time, one of the old school ones where I'm playing a CD in the background and you've got to listen to it. This is some good shit. This is a band, well, it's a split. This was sent to me by Dan, who sent me stuff before. But it's a split between two crazy Perth grind, humorous grind, offensive grind, death grind, that kind of stuff. Think Bloodduster for both these bands. Blüddypåp on one side, that's how it's spelled, with their side called Sensitive New Age Grind. And I love the little stickers on here, special non-toxic formula. And the other band on here, this is absolutely hysterical. This is Retraction with Crazy Ladies, and that's some, apparently these are all convicted murderers or something along those lines. Amazing. Perth bands, man, like the Melbourne grind scene's loose, but the Perth bands, it's a different country over there. So yeah, you get, it's about 40 minutes or so, sort of 8 tracks-ish between the two bands. It's fun stuff, and yeah, Bloodduster for definitely the Blüddypåp side, which we're on at the moment, is a good reference point. I reckon the Retraction side starts going into that sort of Symphonies of Sickness carcass, but mixed with a lot of weirdness. They're actually listed as experimental death metal. There's a lot of weirdness and there's a lot of samples, so we'll see if we get to them. But yes, thanks Dan for sending me this one. It'll play nicely in the background. And from one digi sleeve to another, I've got the relatively new release here between, and it's a split, Leprophiliac and Gravagrav, who is, yeah, they're pretty new to me. 4 tracks from Leprophiliac on this one. I've talked about them a few times. They're a Spanish 2-piece, very heavy and sluggish death doom, in that sort of Anatomia, coffin style, even a little bit of early pungent stench, like guttural vocals, very, very filthy stuff from these guys. I know Mark G with a C is a big fan of Leprophiliac, and yeah, I've got a few things from them now, so yeah, big fan of these guys. They've got a lot of splits, a lot of EPs, and a new album out now called Grime, I think it's actually after the serial killer, and I'm not listened to that one yet. It's only just coming out. Gotta wait for the LP for that one. With Leprophiliac, I like to get the LPs for the album, and that's because I've set the precedent by buying their one album on LP, which was their 2020 release, Necrosis. Still my favourite, but these 4 tracks are good. They just continue their style of that, yeah, sluggishy death doom that looks like it should be gore grind, but it is not. Other side here, Gravagrav. Medicant Media has talked about this band a few times, Jeff over at Medicant. I was not familiar until this release landed in my hands. They're not that dissimilar to Leprophiliac, so it's a pretty matched pair, but this is a reasonably crazy Japanese band featuring Naru from Butcher ABC, formerly of CSSO from way back when. Bit more sort of Dead Infection in their sound, I'd say. Some sort of processed vocals at times. Kind of sounds like a slow gore grind, you know? It's got very fuzzy guitars, which is, you know, very similar to Butcher ABC, and it's helped that gore grind sound. Go inside here. Is helped by the Dead Infection cover that they do. They cover maggots in your flesh, and they do a good job of it. Yeah, so they've got 8 listed tracks here, but for whatever reason, the CD is cut as in tracks 1, 2, 3, 4 Leprophiliac, and track 5 is just everything Gravagrav all thrown together. It kind of just plays like one long song. I mean, it's just what they did. CD in a digi-sleeve. I'm not a big fan of these digi-sleeves. I know why bands do it. I think they're very, very affordable to do them. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's all about the music anyway. So, yeah, there's Gravagrav's quite interesting. They throw a lot of references in there. There's like, I'm listening to a song and I go, that's the Raining Blood riff, and then I hear another bit going, that's the For Whom the Bell Tolls drums, and yeah, thrown in with just slowish, gore grindy death metal stuff. So yeah, they don't seem to have done an album yet, Gravagrav, and that's Grav, 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 Grav. I don't know. They've done plenty of live recordings though. Crazy Japanese band. So there you go, a split between Leprophiliac, Gravagrav. Both of these bands are as loose as hell, and probably just recorded one take in the studio. So yeah, check it out. Particularly if you're a fan of Leprophiliac, it's a no-brainer. And if you're a fan of Leprophiliac, well, check out Gravagrav. So yeah, good stuff. Next one, staying on the gore grind theme, we have, this has been getting a bit of praise, Lipoma, Odes to Suffering. This is their 2023 album. One-man band out of New York, and since the band's inception in I think like 2021, it's only a couple of years, they put out like 15 or 20 releases, just little things, you know, like split 7 inches, that kind of stuff, or just split digital. I'm not too sure on the formats, but only 2 full lengths, of which this is the second one. Would it shock you, with that cover and that name, to know these guys are gore grind? I don't think you're going to be that shocked. The first track on here, Descent into Disease, definitely doesn't dissuade you from going, oh, that's gore grind. It's got like a stupidly fast lymphatic phlegm style drum machine. With that, again, lymphatic phlegm sort of very strangely otherworldly riff style they do. They always had a really weird style that no one else did. And the ultra low pitch, distorted vocals, just nasty sounding stuff. But then on the second track, Leaving Leprosy Land, well, they're definitely leaving Leprosy Land a little bit. This is when it starts to get very interesting, and you start to hear these melodic leads, and then that's really smashed home on the third track, which is Hematomas of the Heart, which the core of that sounds like a 1995 no-fashion Swedish death metal release, and it was anything from what I was expecting. And it's not just like they've gone and done a melodic death metal song. It is mixed in completely with rabid drum machine gore grind and those pitch-shifted vocals. It just gets to the leads, and they're crazy. And not just the leads, but like it'll go into portions where it's different, like sub-style. Really unexpected, but really, really refreshing. That evolves through some of the other tracks too. More and more of it just keeps coming up. The fifth track, Demonic Delusions, that may as well be a dissection riff, and then they mix that in with a napalm death riff. It is such a weird combination. I can't say I've listened to melodic death metal gore grind before. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't think it really is, because I'm hearing a lot of stuff about Lipoma. People are kind of scratching their heads and a little bit impressed / confused at the same time. But I really dug it. This is good stuff. I don't think I want to get into the 15 to 20 independent releases they've done, but I would like to check out the first album at least to see how that compares, or if this craziness has come later. So yeah, I mean, it's very refreshing to hear what you can do with gore grind, which can be, kind of one note. It can be, but it's 16 tracks that mix that Brazilian style of over-the-top gore grind with Sky Dancer era dark tranquility, and that was not on my bingo card this year. So hey, thanks Lipoma for something different. Hear that stomping riff in the background? It's good stuff. What we're not listening to, but what I'll show you next, is Apparition with Granular Transformation. This is their 2021 EP. There's a few bands called Apparition. There's a very new one that's just come out now that I need to investigate. I've been sent some links to. Sounds very good, but they are not this Apparition. This is a 4-piece from LA that sound both massively early Finnish, as well as stuff like Mortiferum, demo era, Tomb Mold, and of course those incantation riffs, you cannot escape them. This is as thick as a whale omelette. Chunky, groovy, reverbed, very dissonant, booming death doom metal. I raved about their full-length album, which is just called Feel. It came out in 2021. Highly ranked for me, that album in that year. It was very, very good. Band have been quiet since then. I don't know what's going on. Nothing listed, and this is not new. This is, as I said, their 2021 EP. This came out before 2020. This came out, not 2021. And it is only 2 tracks. It's got Soul Secretion and Fluid Memories, but then it's got 3 extra bonus tracks on here, which were from the Subarachnoid Space EP. So it's a nice little compilation here that puts the 2 EPs together of early material. So yeah, you can get the granular transformation part on a 7-inch if you just want that, but it's nice to get this comp, I think. Get it on a CD, get all the extra stuff. So yeah, it's very representative of what they ended up doing on Feel. And yeah, if you do like hearing that mortiferum style of Death Doom and you like that crunching, like old Finnish style, well, it's not even really old, I'd say the more modern Finnish bands, maybe your Corpsest, that kind of stuff. Yeah, check out Apparition. Good stuff. Yeah, not much more to say. I've talked about them before, and I'll talk about them again, hopefully, if they do another album. We're going to get away from the filth for a moment here, which is hard when the background I'm listening to has now gone to pitch-shifted, gurgly vocals, but man, this is chalk and cheese. I'm going to talk about a little-known Australian release from 2022. This is an excellent release. A band called Estrangement. The album is called Disfigurementality. One word, excellent title. This is a funeral doom band with a very heavy neoclassical bass to it. The opening track on this one, Destitution, is a cello and violin only with pain screams over it. But then the second track, Detritivore, which is another great word. Apparently that means an animal that feeds on dead flesh. Detritivore. Crushing, slow riffs, slow drums, obvious nods to early My Dying Bride, Mournful Congregation, of course, yeah, but this is anything but a simple funeral doom band. It's largely the work of an old buddy of mine, Josh Saparovic, who was involved in a lot of great Sydney bands over the years, like Black Thrasher's Shackles, another sort of melodic-ish black metal band, Rookwood, were very good. He was involved in the early demo of sort of the Swedish death metal inspired Infernal Method, all of the early 2000s scenes. The black metal stuff you can definitely hear on here. It's got those tremolo black metal riffs and blasts that frequently come into it. He's also an awarded film score composer, and I think that's probably where the neoclassical stuff comes from. He writes most of the music, well, I think he probably writes all of it, but he performs most of the music on Disfigurementality. Vocals, guitars, drums, there's cello, keyboard, Tibetan singing bowls, which I had to look up what they are. But he also has other people on here doing violins, flute, double bass. It's a real eclectic mix of instruments on here, very full, sort of ensemble. And yeah, so they're credited as a 4-piece in the liner notes in here. So, like some of the other stuff in here that Joss is doing, the balalaika, I don't even know what that is. But yeah, a tin whistle is also credited. So, yep. The album itself, though, is very highly emotive. He's done a really good job to pull emotions in this kind of funeral doom with those, not just the funeral doom part, but those classical pieces that he's put in here. They really just are kind of pulling at the strings a bit, I think. They drag you in to the very dark sound of this album. The classical pieces especially have a kind of like a free sound to them. Like it's not so much, it's not like a popular song using classical instruments. It is designed like classical music would be played, with movements, right? And even when it's not that stuff and it's the more funeral doom, when it goes into different sections, there's different arrangements, and it's a well thought out piece of music altogether. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it was like improv or anything along those lines. I mean, approaching it from someone that doesn't particularly listen to classical music, trying to find something to anchor onto that I'm familiar with is a little difficult. But I can completely see how this is designed and constructed more like a classical piece than it is a metal album. And that makes it very refreshing It's not. Don't confuse me. This is not just a classical album. It is a crushing funeral doom release with scratchy, like nasty vocals. But there's a lot of the other bits in here too. So, the tracks are often separated by the choice of instrument. Like I said, there's a list, an arm long, of the kinds of instruments you're going to hear. There's a track called Light Unshown that breaks into a clean guitar piece that reminded me very much of something like Mike Oldfield would do. Then there's the tin whistle and the double bass that come into it. The shorter songs in between some of the longer tracks. Some of these are like 9 minutes long, but then there's a track that's Belong Beneath. It's a minute 19. That's just sort of that neoclassical interlude only. At its core, this is just Funeral Doom. Well, not this just is. This is Funeral Doom, but it has very much deep root into neoclassical in its construction and with all those added instruments. The 6-track clusters, which I think there's a video clip for, that starts off like it's from The Exorcist. It's a evil sounding opening to that one, and with just the strings that are being used. But this is not a one listen job. This I've listened to 3 times through, trying to just understand and unpack it a bit more. Clearly Joss and the others involved have spent a lot of time putting this together. I noticed on Metal Archives there was a 2013 demo, and this is a 2022 album, so I have to presume they've just spent all that time just refining, and recording this quite beautiful sounding album, it's got to be said. Love the cover as well. So it's just a wonderful, just everything. I mean, there's a classical guitar there on there. It's got Spanish guitar sounds in it too. Joss is a very talented guy. It is miles away from the black thrash we would get out of Shackles back in the day. There we go. But it is. Oh, it folds out actually. Get a bit more photos there. So I'm not entirely sure which one that is. Is that the double bass? Quite possibly. There's a violin. So, yeah, if you like, I guess, a bit more flourish and a bit more eclectic instruments with your Funeral Doom, really do encourage you to check out Disfigurementality. I don't know how widely released it is. I know it's only 500 copies. And it's on a UK label, I think, called Aesthetic Death. So, yeah, check out how you can get it. Joss sent me this copy, so thank you very much. I'm very, very happy with this album. But do go check out Aesthetic Death's website. Grab yourself one as well. Next up, we have one of the very many Justin Stubbs bands. This is Occulsed with Parturitions of Adulteration. What a great combination of words there. I talked about their 2021 album, more combination of words here, Crepitation of Phlegathon, when it came out, which was a really, really strong album. This is the 2022 compilation of their 2019 demo, Cenotaph to Putridity, and 2020 demo, Ceremonial Lifelessness. So many big words today. Plus, the last track on here is a new one. We'll get to that. Very similar to the album in its sound. The band's style hasn't progressed too much over the years. I think the demos are just a bit more raw, which you'd expect. This is nasty and evil sounding death metal. It's mostly slow and crushing. It's kind of a mix of Stubbs' other bands, Father Befouled on one side and Encoffination on the other. Definitely leaning into the Encoffination quite a bit, with a bit more sort of just rabid, tremolo, buzzing riffs that are intentionally pushed back in the mix as well, so it does sound like a bit of a blizzard the whole time. Drums played by Jared Moran, who has credits list as long as my arm. I couldn't pick out one band in there. There was like 40, ridiculous, and some guttural but sort of raspy vocals at the same time by Kenneth Parker. So I also say fans of Funebrarum and Infesta would like what they hear on Occulsed, and this compilation demos is just as good a place to start as the album. The new track, though, here's the back. The new track's called Resiled Necromniscience. Jesus Christ, these words today. Anyway, that new track, that's the highlight. It is their best produced song so far, not at all demo production. It's heavier, it's got some stomping passages in it, which was a bit of a new thing. Though the vocals are even further back in the mix on that track, so a bit like guttural whispers now. But overall it was a heavier, cleaner sound, so that was good. And it left me anticipating any further new full length, which I hope we're going to get one. There's the inside there. The CD. Let's fold it out, why not? Not too sure how much is in here. I think it's just a simple... let's not fold it out, it's stuck. Hey, this is a rough and raw video. Occulsed, Parturition of Adulteration. I need a drink after these words. Next up, we've got finally got the first full length from this excellent Brazilian death doom band. This is Fossilization with Leprous Daylight. The 2021 EP, He Whose Name Was Long Forgotten, got raves in the underground, absolutely, followed by a split with the reactivated Ritual Necromancy, delivering 2 tracks from Fossilization on that one. Very, very good split, particularly the Ritual Necromancy side. I was very happy to hear them do some new material. But this is 2023's Leprous Daylight, and it's a ripper, and it's getting strong praise across the board from everybody. Only a 2-piece, these guys. Take a look at the back there with the tracks again. We've got P, letter P, on drums, and V, letter V, on everything else, plus the vocals. It's a wonderful blend of something like Finland's Crips, the formerly UK-based Cruciamentum, Greece's Dead Congregation, that kind of stuff. Really, really strong death doom. It is tight, it is dark, it is evil, and there's a lot of speed for death doom, it's got to be said. I hear like a lot of Lucifer, which is not a band I would say death doom, but they're mixing in with those really fast, dissonant riffs and blasting drums. It does slow down to heavy crawls, bringing in those doom elements. So yeah, it is a mix here. Yeah, across 8 tracks of very well-written songs of cosmic dread, out on Everlasting Spew. Highly recommended. Where it will feature in my top 20 video, it remains to be seen, but it is a strong album here. Leprous Daylight from Fossilization, definitely check this one out. Going back to the 90s now, and another case of me rebuying something that I sold a decade ago. You never learn sometimes, do you? This is Norway's Bloodthorn with their debut album In the Shadows of Your Black Wings. Not my black wings, but your black wings. Albeit in a very different edition than what I had in 1997. This was one of the early Seasons of Mist bands, along with And Oceans from Finland. These guys, as I said, from Norway. And Doomia. Yeah, like... And Oceans was very black metal. I remember picking up the Bloodthorn at the time. I was young. I was 17. Kind of think it would be similar. And a little bit. But this is Doomia. Absolutely Doomia. It's got added ethereal female vocals to it, which for me in the late 90s didn't hit the spot, it's got to be said. But now I've managed to trade up from nothing. And before that, it was the Digipack release, which looked like here. Bright green, very gaudy cover, not so great. I prefer this cover, and I prefer it being a jewel case, absolutely. The band, if you are familiar with Bloodthorn, and perhaps you didn't hear this album, you might be wondering what I'm talking about with ethereal vocals and Oceans-y style black metal. That's where they started. They kind of became like a Triggered to Hell death grind band or something in the later years. I don't know. I don't follow them. This album, though, yeah, the test of time, my changing tastes over the years, it works really well for me. At this point in their career, it's kind of like Stormblast era Dimmenborg gear, even the production's a bit like that. And with that And Oceans Dynamic Gallery of Thoughts, their first album, which would make sense why they had a split release between 2 bands. Very infamous split that Season of Mist did at the time called War Volume 1. And they did a Volume 2 with Beth Zeta and I can't remember who the other band was. But they were interesting, those compilations, because the bands did they're 3 or so tracks each, and then they covered each other. So Bloodthorn, I think, covered a Andocian song at the time, and vice versa. From memory, that's what it was. But the track I remember stuck into my head when I put this back on. When I rebought this, I thought, bugger it, I'll buy it again. I put it back on. As soon as I hit March to War, all the memories came back. I'm like, okay, I remember this track. And it is a March to War. That's like a slow dirge, almost bolt thrower in its sort of pace. I mean, it's a March to War, so you can't help but not think of war-themed bands. It's got these raspy black metal vocals all the way through the album. And they stand out when the tracks are slower like that one. There's symphonic keyboard stabs because 1997, sounding like Dimmu Borgir, and from Norway, so you're going to get that, top hat kind of keyboards. Tracks like Night Shadow, particularly good one. That's got a very fast double kick all the way through it. More straight ahead symphonic black metal, that track, than leaning into the doom. And the last track, With a Blood-Stained Axe. It's a good track. It's a bit more crazy, a bit more unhinged, a bit more raw, which might be why they did that very annoying, very 90s, early 2000s thing of having all of your songs and then 60 seconds of silence, 60 tracks of silence over these 4-second tracks. So track 8 is 4 seconds of nothing, then track 9 is 4 seconds of nothing, and then nothing and nothing and nothing, until finally at track 66 you get With a Blood-Stained Axe. I don't know. It was a thing. Bands did it at the time. It's stupid. You have to listen to it these days. So yeah, you got to skip to get to that one, but whatever. It's a good album. I'm very glad I picked it up again, and particularly in this jewel case edition. Of course, it doesn't get all frayed from sitting on my shelf. And yeah, I think this might have been a 2000 reissue after the 97 Digipack. And I'm curious. There's the lyrics. All looking very like an old parchment or something. Nice photos there. Yeah, some very 90s looking black metal photo. I mean, that's just black metal to a T. I mean, it is Norway, right? There's your stuff. I am cautiously going to try their second album and see where that fits, because I do know their later stuff is just, not for me, boring. But In the Shadows of Your Black Wings, yeah, happy to have this one back in the collection for sure. And the last CD we're going to take a look at here is a little EP that was recommended to me by my buddy Roman. To which then, after he recommended it to me, before I even picked it up, I recommended it to Ben Brainsmasher, who's already gone and shown it on his channel, so you trumped me, Ben, but it's all good. This is Aiwaz, Awaiz, with Dreams of Ancient Gods. Band out of Italy. This is a 2017 compilation of everything they did, from what I can work out. Has their previously unreleased 1995, that's right, it's a 90s band, 1995 EP Remote Atavism, and their 1994 promotional demo. That appears to be all that came out of this band. And when you go and look at them on the Metal Archives, there is one listed similar artist, and that's Morbid Angel. And it's not because of laziness, it's because these guys may as well be Morbid Angel. There is no other influence here, at least in the 1995 EP. We'll get to the 94 one. But in that 1995 EP, it just sounds like something that should have been around Blessed Are the Sick and Covenant. I mean, the production even sounds like Blessed Are the Sick. It's got those tin can tom rolls, like that stuff. It is such Morbid Angel worship, but it is done so well. They're not covers, these are unique songs, but you're going to find a lot of reference points, and it's going to be very, very familiar when you're listening to it. It's not a bad thing if you know that going in. I mean, as I said, it was recommended to me, and I recommended it on, and yeah, it was purchased, so this is good stuff. What am I supposed to say? It's that thrashy, evil death metal sound with lots of Asymptote style tremolo and leads and Dave Vincent styled snarling. It's albums ABC, Morbid Angel, but the difference between this and something like a band like Gruesome that sounds like death is that these guys were doing Morbid Angel when Morbid Angel was doing Morbid Angel, like even during their classic era. So it's just these Italian kids probably looking over the stream going, I wonder if we can play that. And Dreams of Ancient Gods, which is, I would love to know why the 95 EP was unreleased. There is liner notes in here. There's the CD with just some kind of symbol. And there's info in here about it. So it's a 4-piece band. And you've got all music and lyrics written by Aiwaz. The Remote Atavism EP, recorded in Rome, 1995. The Promo 94, recorded at a different studio in Rome in 93. And it's got in memoriam to Lorenzo Amori, who was the bassist, who passed away in 2016. There is nothing in here, like there's no notes saying anything about why this stuff was unreleased or anything. Like, I don't know, and there's nothing on Metal Archives. Yeah, I don't know. So I'd be curious if anybody does know anything more about this band and what happened and why it didn't come out. But only the drummer Marcelo, he went on to do a stint in Corpse Fucking Art, who is not a band I've heard, but I've heard that name for years. And Stormlord, another band. But other than that, everybody in here vanished before the 2000s. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But this stuff rules, particularly the 95 stuff. The 94 promo is probably a step down in production. The 95 stuff just sounds like Blessed Are the Sick. Like, it sounds professional. It's not a demo. 94 stuff is a little bit more demo quality. Not terribly, just a little bit. And the vocals are nastier. They're deeper and got reverb. It kind of sounds like Morbid Visions era Sepultura. Lots of Morbids. And also the music is a little bit, because it's a bit more rough and raw, it's a little bit in that black and thrash. I don't want to say black and thrash. That black and evil sound. It is a little bit like they started off listening to Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions and then started listening to Morbid Angel. But you can still hear some of that Morbid Angel in there. It's not a complete change. So, yeah, it's an interesting combination of two EPs here, one unreleased, and a band that very, very much sounded like Morbid Angel. Came out on Despise the Sun Records a while ago. Like I said, I think it was 2017. But I found this easy on a local distro for I think like $8, and I think Ben got his on Discogs, so probably the same. These things are around; they're easy to get, and I highly recommend you pick it up. Yeah, if you love Morbid Angel A, B, and C, this is a no-brainer. Go get Dreams of Ancient Gods from Aiwaz, and leaving you away now. What a terrible tangent that was. That is the end of this video. And in the background, as I said, we were listening to the very strange death grind of Blüddypåp out of Perth, and we have the lip retraction side. Geez, that cover is amazing, of Crazy Ladies. So thank you again, Dan, for sending me this my way. Hope you enjoyed this CD update video. If you did, please like, subscribe. The links to listen will be in the description, and I'll see you next time.